Welcome to Amplify. I'm your host, Candice Dormon. On this show, we shine a light on people making moves, grinding, hustling, and being excellent because it's 2020 and there are still a lot of first and onlys across almost every industry. So let's dig in. Our guest is a full-time working mom based out of Southern California. She is best known as the doodler behind JTB lettering. She is a self-taught lettering artist that creates unique and beautiful signage to celebrate all of life's special moments. She has lettered thousands of envelopes, created hundreds of chalkboards, and has been recognized as one of the best in her region by Wedding Wire since 2017. She has been featured on BuzzFeed, art supply websites, and party planning blogs. She is fueled by coffee, her children's laughter, and people's positive energy. Jenny, welcome to Amplify. Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Candice. Oh, that was so great.
It's all you, Jenny. It's all you. I love it. I love it. Sometimes people hear things about themselves and they go, wait, who are they talking about? It's like you. It's you. It's all you. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. I'm so happy to have you.
Pleasure is all mine. I am so happy to be in the same virtual space as you, Candice.
I love it. I love it. It's so nice to be able to be safe at home, right? I'm safe at home. You're safe at home. We hope that all of our listeners right now in 2020 are safe at home. And it's a good day. I feel good about today. And I think that has to do with you. You are so warm and bubbly and make me so happy inside. So let's just jump right in. I have been following you for several years now and watching you in just like blossom in the work that you're doing with your lettering company and how you just are like a powerhouse in what I consider like the entrepreneurial creator world, right? And so I want to hear a little bit about the journey that you have been on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about JTB lettering and how you got started?
Thank you. First, thank you for your kind words. It's sometimes you don't really accept your success until somebody tells you and validates that experience. So thank you. So as you know, I'm from the tri-state area, originally from New Jersey. So prior to moving to California 5 years ago, I had an event planning business with Angie, who you actually had on Amplify a few weeks ago. And I provided lettering as a service to couples getting married. And when that chapter of that journey, of planners came to an end, I had embarked the motherhood journey. So I've always doodled and made little gifts for friends here and there, but chalkboards were becoming really popular. And so I thought, well, I already letter on envelopes. I could do it on a chalkboard. And so I started doodling for friends and families, and I was posting on Instagram pretty frequently. And then through a hashtag, someone from Atlanta, Georgia, found me, and she had said, my daughter's turning 1 and I want that same chalkboard that you did for your kiddos. And she said, I'll pay you for it. And I thought, wow, you're gonna pay me to draw some stuff on a chalkboard? You sure? And she just said such nice things. Again, someone who I've never met in my entire life. And I said, you know what, let's do it. And I was still learning about how to use certain supplies, and she trusted me, and that was like my push to start an Etsy shop. And I had a few family friends who were super supportive, and I learned all about shipping and handling, and one thing led to another, and I started a Facebook page, and it became really popular within the Riverside community. So I had a lot of support through moms who love to party plan for their children. And after that, weddings became the new the new endeavor for me again, just for lettering. And I have a great partnership with a wedding venue here, and I provide lettering services for couples getting married at the space. And here I am. I still have my 8 to 5. I'm still a mother of twins. I'm evolving as an artist. I'm really lucky that I get to create pieces. And, you know, I jokingly say, like, I get to doodle and people pay me for it. Okay. But it's a very therapeutic process. And that's really why I started it. And the fact that I can be such a small detail or such a small part of somebody's celebration, that also brings me a lot of joy.
I really love that. I imagine you as a little kid with notebooks and notes that are all covered with all kinds of Mickey Mouses and things from the time, right? Some Looney Tunes, probably some swirlies and fleur-de-lys, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool, like you said, to get to a point where the thing that you like to do, people are willing to pay you for. Like that's the dream. That's the ultimate dream. And then the other thing you said about not recognizing that what you're doing is valuable, that people will pay you for it, that people love it, until someone that you don't know even tells you about it. Like it's a moment of reflection that we can't have until someone outside of us, outside of our circle, right? Because when you hear positive reinforcement or compliments from family members, you're like, oh, you have to say that because you love me.
No, you're absolutely right. My husband will say, oh, that looks really good. I'm like, are you sure? Like, it looks okay? I'm like, it looks good. I was like, actually, I don't know. I mean, it feels good. I think it looks good, but do you think it looks good? Sometimes we need a little validation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really like the path that you took, right? That you started with the business, with the event planning business, and then just on the wave of what was going on at the time, right? I remember when letter boards and milestone boards became a thing, right? And the fact that I think people definitely still miss parties, but the party boards or the announcement boards for a party, like that's also, every wedding has a his and her sides or a lemonade stand or something like that. It's such a complimentary offering that you can give to an industry where people are already so happy, right? It definitely feels like it's on brand for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And people enjoy getting personal notes. And so at a wedding, to see your name lettered by somebody at the table, it's very special because you think, or, the guest thinks, wow, I matter so much that they made sure that my name was hand printed or hand lettered on a piece of paper just for me. And it's the little things that, that leave a lasting impression. For sure.
Absolutely. I end up keeping my mortgage company likes to send us postcards with our names on things. So it would be like in the fall, it's like a fall scenery, and somehow the letters have fallen just perfectly and they say Candice. Okay. And I don't even pay them any attention. Like, I don't think about them at all, but I will keep that postcard because there's nothing more beautiful than your own name, right? Like, it is the most beautiful sound you've ever heard. It's the most beautiful lettered word you've ever seen. And so, like, the psychology behind making someone's name beautiful is very clear to me.
Yeah, and I have a lot of fun I have a lot of fun exploring different ways to do that. And it has been, you know, I've also invested time in ensuring that I'm learning and that I am learning the right terminology, because, you know, my goal is to also share this experience with others who want to learn. So, you know, if I'm going to show you how to write your name so that it's aesthetically pleasing, I better know how to, you know, describe the x-axis or the cap height to somebody, which are terms that I've never used. I used to just be like, I just write it because it looks pretty and that's how I'm going to write it. But, you know, I want to share this experience with others because it has brought me so much joy. And I think that others can find joy in that process too, because lettering and art can be very therapeutic.
And you're a teacher at heart, and you're a teacher by profession, right? So all of that makes sense to me. And I know that right before pandemic, you were starting some lettering classes.
Oh, yeah.
And so have you moved to doing that virtually yet?
Not yet. And, you know, that is with it. I am very much a face-to-face kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very hard for me because I want to see that physical feedback, you know, when, you know, how someone looks at their own chalkboard or their own work, and you don't really get that experience virtually. So I will in the near future have some type of like workshop where it's just free of charge, just to do a test run. I have something coming up with some Seattle letterers, which I'm really excited about. But I'm a face-to-face kind of person. And just like, you know, a teacher needs to see that feedback from their students. And it's hard to do in a virtual setting, but I'm open to it. But, you know, it's
the artist in you is having a tough time transitioning.
Yes. But you know, as I say, I'm bending like a willow. I'm being flexible, which is why I try my best to share tutorials on my YouTube channel, and I'm slowly getting in the groove of creating more content, because it's great. I mean, I love creating for people, but I would love to show you too.
So I like that. That's a great segue into what I want to talk about, which is you have this blooming business, and part of why so many people know about it is because you are amazing on social media, specifically Instagram. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about how you made the decision to use Instagram. I heard you say earlier that you started on Facebook, but I feel like I see a lot more of your really dynamic content on Instagram. And so if we're talking to someone who is early in their journey, right? Maybe they've just started their business, or they're just in the early stages of business, and they're trying to figure out how to get onto social media to get their business or their service out there. Can you talk a little bit about why you like Instagram so much and why it is helpful to have dynamic content on there?
Yeah, I've always had an Instagram page, and it used to be personal, and it was just all my arts and crafts and anything that I found beautiful and sparkly. I took a picture and I wrote a caption like, "I love this so much. I sweat glitter, yay!" And just, and that when I was just doing that, I had a good following, but then I thought, okay, I can make this a little bit more. I can use this to my advantage. And I was, whenever I created something, I would just post it, and I wouldn't think twice about hashtags. I just wanted to share what I was creating because it brought me happiness and it brought traffic in. But then I started to learn from other content creators and other micro influencers what they were doing and why they were doing it. And so there were times where I was a little apprehensive, and I said, you know what, if people are interested, they're going to buy my art, and that's it. It is what it is. But then I learned as my supporting or as folks say, following grew, that when people visit your page, they're only going to be there for a little bit, especially if they're looking for a vendor for an event, or if they're looking for signage for their child's birthday, or whatever the case may be. So I want to make sure that when someone visits my page, the first 9 pictures give you a glimpse of who I am. So I'm a mom. I create really great pieces using all different types of mediums, and I support my community. And so I have It's not perfect. I try to be sort of methodical in how I post and when I post, and a lot of it is when there's traffic on Instagram. And again, Instagram, what do you do when you're on Instagram? You kind of scroll, right? And you stop when something really catches your attention. So Instagram, the purpose of Instagram is to create those posts that can stop someone on their track, whether it's through a quote or through a photo of me jumping on a trampoline because who doesn't love seeing a mom enjoying their kids' toys. So people will stop at that photo. They'll say, whoa, let me check out her page. Oh, check that out. She does X, Y, and Z. Oh, she also is a mom of twins. I want to stay connected to her. And that's what I want people to get when they come to my page, that they can share my experience because they have that same experience, and you want people to feel connected. Motherhood can be lonely, and it's a great space to connect with other moms, to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs, and when you have a solid group of supporters, they are going to be the ones who share your information. So Instagram is great for that. Facebook is wonderful because it allows me to create a gallery of the things that I've created. So I can refer folks back to Facebook who may have found me on Instagram, and I'll say, you know what, why don't you take a look at my wedding album on Facebook, and you might see something that really gets your attention, and we can move forward after you take a look at a few pieces that might inspire you. And so that's how I use both. And in Facebook, again, it's nice because you can have ads that are specific to your region. And again, that has helped, especially for the community in which I live, because it's easier to create pieces and then people pick them up or drop off their wood or their chalkboards or whatnot. So I use both, but I think, the impression is that, I am this big powerhouse on Instagram, and I use it in a way to bring people together, to share important information, to share my merchandise or my pieces. But I see Instagram as the greatest connector, and I always end up connecting them back to my Etsy page or to my Facebook page. But Instagram is where the traffic is for sure.
That's a really good point, because I have still been trying to figure out exactly how to use the two mediums, the two platforms, because I get overwhelmed a little bit about having to post on this one and post on that one. I think the best thing I learned, I don't remember when, was that you could post on Instagram and it would automatically post on Facebook. And I was like, oh, thank God, right? Yeah. But it's really nice to hear you say that you use Instagram as a way to connect people and then refer them when they want to do like a deep dive on your products, refer them to Facebook, where you're actually able to collect a little more information, photo albums. Because I was wondering how one does that, effectively on Instagram, because they don't really have photo albums,
Exactly.
The closest thing might be the highlights, that you can use the highlights now as a way to hold on to some information that doesn't get lost in the scrolling. And I really like that point that you made about the first 9 photos, right? And I noticed that too. I don't really scroll very far on someone's page, right? You're scrolling on your own homepage, and then you might click on someone else's page. But as soon as I get to the point where it says loading, I'm like, okay, I've gone too far, right? I've seen
it's like, and there's my attention span.
Exactly. And so if in those first, 6 to 9 photos, you set the stage, right? And I'm thinking about my own page right now, and what you just said means to me. Right now on my own homepage, there's a picture, I think, of some drill bits, because I was all excited about some new drill bits that I bought because I was going to do a project in the garage. And now, as I'm thinking about my business and my show, I'm like, what do the drill bits actually have to do with anything? They probably would have been better suited in a story for that day. Does that Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
I mean, it all depends on the story behind it. I mean, I'm big on like, if that's what you want to post, and post it. Just
Okay.
remember, just keep in mind the implications of that posting. So, for instance, there's a lot of things that are happening in our world right now, right? Whether it's discussing the pandemic, or what are you gonna do about your kids returning to school, or where you stand on different political topics, right? And so, if you're gonna post something, and then post it. And I think that I'm assuming, what are drill bits for? I'm assuming you're doing some type of project in the garage.
Oh yeah, I was drilling. I was actually putting in the hook so that we could do the bicycles on the wall in the garage.
Okay, well, I mean, there you go. You're trying to either declutter,
Right.
you're trying to get organized.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if I see that, it's like, okay, she also has a life, which means that if I message her about, I don't know, about the show or about your product, that, you might be currently in the garage working on your bikes. But you're human. We're all human, right? And so it's nice to get a little bit of a glimpse of real life, and that's why I share pictures of my kids, or us jumping on the trampoline, because it's I want you to see that if I'm not drawing, or if you're waiting on a project, it's because I'm hanging out with my kids, or I'm getting my hair done because I'm supporting my local beauty salon. So. It's important to see that, for others to see that there's other things that I do aside from just work on chalkboards.
That's a really good point. I think that's the thing that makes small businesses special, right? That we are people, that we're not a conglomerate or a, warehouse, that it's actually a person doing your thing, that's like touching the things that are coming to you, and really focused on you in that moment. And so the bit of grace that we extend to small businesses to do what we pay them to do, but also have a life, right? I think is really important.
Absolutely.
I also really like this point that you're making about posting what you want, right? I think that we have to, as small business people and as real people, balance the part of our lives that are focused on our business and the part of our lives that are just like who we are. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get bogged down in what is the purpose of this specific thing. Maybe I shouldn't post that, which I think sometimes people need a note in their head to say that they shouldn't say something. But your point earlier about at the beginning just starting by posting, then you figure out who you are online, right? Who your online persona is, who you want people to realize that you are, and not who you're trying to pretend to be. Right? Like a very cultivated, like I don't really pay attention to people who feel too cookie cutter or like really cultivated, right? It makes me think that they're hiding something.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, and that's why I have, at this point, I have a method as to what I post, right? It's an art piece, real life, art piece, real life. And sometimes it's not art pieces that or chalkboards or signage that I'm selling. It just might be how I'm feeling in the moment. So, I see in your background, you have protect your peace as a sign, right? And so earlier this week, I was feeling some sort of way. Sometimes when we give, and then we're left with nothing. And so I write down positive affirmations or words of wisdoms for myself. And so that was that for myself that day. And it felt good to write it. And I actually wrote it on a chalkboard, and I took a picture of it and I shared it because that's how I was feeling that day. And it actually went well with, how my my Instagram method of posting worked. Sometimes it's not going to be signage that I'm selling. Sometimes it's just my thoughts, or a quote that resonated with me, or something about a particular movement that stands, you don't always want to take to engage in full out conversations on Instagram, because that's not the right place sometimes. Or my page is probably not the best place for it. I can, direct people to it, but I want you to know where I stand on certain topics, and I'll do that through a quote that I share on a chalkboard. So I also try to use my space as a way to direct people to the right resources. But I want you to know where I stand, because I want you to support someone who stands in that particular space, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. It's how we find our tribe. It's
Exactly.
how I had someone on the show before talking about marketing, and that, I was under the misguidance that marketing is about getting as many people to your page as you can possibly, right? If I do just the right thing, then everybody will come to my page and they'll all want to buy something. But actually marketing and what you're saying is about, she called it like clearing out the riffraff, right? And so it's really identifying who, quote unquote, should be looking at your page, should be in your community that you would want to be friends with, you would want to be around. Those are the people you want to have on your page looking at your things, and the other people will self-select out, right?
Exactly.
And so you identify who you are with your posts. I like what you said about your pattern of posting. That's a term, right? A posting pattern. It gets people into a rhythm of what to expect to see. And then for the details of what your posts are, gets people really clear on where you stand on multiple things. So I think that's perfect. If we could, pivot a little bit so we were just talking about, quote unquote, followers, right? Which is the general term, although we don't want to think about them as just followers. They're people that you're engaging with. You have almost 20,000 followers on your page. A humongous feat, right? And I think that a lot of times we get caught up with people who have millions of followers, right? But we're not all Jada Pinkett is on mind right now. We're not all celebrities, right? And that 20,000 followers is a bit of a following, right? And is definitely something to be proud of, and is something that makes you an influencer. You're probably beyond the micro influencer stage, even though you might still feel small, right? And so one of the things that helps creators continue is sponsorships. And the purpose is to get a few sponsorships so that you can continue supporting the business, the page, the things. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you get sponsorships? Do you reach out to people? Do people reach out to you? What does that process look like?
Absolutely. So I'll first start off with kind of sharing how my first sponsorship looked like. So it was a new company that was starting to sell their merchandise that focused on art supplies that you could use on chalkboards. And they reached out and they said, we'd love for you to test the product, and in exchange for the product, so you give us a few pictures or whatnot that we can share. And that's how that started. Again, that was when my following was very small. But the fact that, another startup was, entrusting me with their merchandise, and for allowing me to give them feedback, that, that to me at the time was a big deal, and it still is. And that company is much bigger now, and I'm excited for their success, and I think the feeling is mutual. And we're now at a point where before they launch a particular product, they will, they'll come back to me and say, well, Jenny, we want to do this for potentially for weddings. What do you think about X, Y, and Z? And I'll say, well, I think this is the right direction that you're going into, but let me recommend that you maybe do the frame in white, or maybe it's a little bit bigger. These are the types of things that people are going to want to put on that type of frame. And so to be considered for that type of feedback, that's a great feeling. And now I'm at a point where if video content is needed, they will either compensate me, or they will provide additional merchandise that I need. And when merchandise is provided, whether it's other art supplies. That's really helpful to me as well, because art supplies are really expensive. So it's great when other startups can support me and vice versa. And when other companies start to see, oh, okay, she does collaborations, let me reach out to her. Hey, can you test out these markers? Can you test out these brushes? Can I send you a chalkboard in exchange for a photo? And then you see the kids in the mix, right? Like, you have twin boys, can we send you X, Y, and Z to test out? So, the opportunities come. And so it's a matter of you picking and choosing what is relevant to what it is that you do. So I try to either stay in the realm of arts and crafts, reading and learning, and fun graphic tees. I love graphic tees. My kids love graphic tees. So that's just kind of where I take my collaborations from outside companies. Now, when friends and friends of friends embark on endeavors and starting their business, I'm all in. Whatever it is, I'm willing to support it. If you want to sell pupusas or tortillas or tacos, let's go. If your mom is a seamstress, let's do it. If you are now producing a beautiful line of moisturizing cream, I'm all for it. I just it's a different level of support that I provide for that community.
And that's a good segue to my next question, because I think sometimes we get focused on the sponsorship, right? Because we're thinking about the money, but also very important is the collaboration, right? And I will tell you that when you were so excited about our EcoBody products and the deodorant, I was also like, it upped the level of excitement that even I had for her, because I was like, oh, Jenny likes it, right? Like, it's so cool. And it, just like we said earlier, it takes a bit of outside compliment, of outside confidence for someone else to give you, to help you realize just how cool your thing is, right? Like, and to give you the confidence that you need to keep going. So I am so like in awe of how good you are, and just, I think, from the goodness of your heart in sharing and pouring that kind of support into collaborations. So can we talk a little bit? I see you very often with a growing group of mompreneurs, with entrepreneurs online on your Instagram platform. How did you start that? How has that been growing? And what has been the positive outcomes of having these kinds of collaborations?
So it first starts with my friends, right? For instance, I'm going to use an example. You had reached out for something, and then one conversation led to another, and you sent me a product, and I was legit like, oh my God, this is amazing. The world needs to see it like right now. And my friends are my friends because they're amazing, right? So if they have an idea, it's going to be incredible. So my job as a good friend is to share that with people. And if I can, whether it's word of mouth or on whatever platform, I'm gonna do it. And I think I even mentioned when I was showcasing it on my stories, I said, buy it. And if you do not like it, I will buy it from you. And a few folks had reached out afterwards after they got it. And they're like, oh my God, Jenny, I'm never using anything else. Why would I lie to you? So I am very honest with whatever it is that I am suggesting for people to purchase. Even, my friends who are either personal trainers or professional career coaches, whatever the case may be. Sometimes I might not be able to use that service, but I will definitely showcase it and brag about it because they are wonderful human beings. And I believe that they have that power to influence someone to either get physically fit or to get ready for the next job transition, or if they're content creators, I support them in assisting them with maybe some ghostwriting and help them out with their captioning. There is so much sunshine for everyone, and everyone can succeed and experience that sunshine. You know, it's only fair to share it. So that's just kind of where I stand on collaborations, especially, there's a lot of mom and pop, graphic tea companies, I'm sorry. And I love to support that because these are, designed by them, printed by them. And when you buy from them, it's supporting their family. And you want to buy from them instead of, going to your local mall or store, wherever it is you do your shopping, and you want others to do the same and to support your community, keep the money within the community. And that's really important. And then when you do that, people tend to reciprocate, right? They might not need signage, but when they hear that someone's getting married or they're about to have a baby, they're going to suggest, hey, Jenny of JTB Lettering does these really cute milestone boards for babies, or she did so-and-so's wedding last year. You should definitely check her out.
It's just good karma. It's just good karma. And you don't do it, and you don't strike me as a person who does it for that. But the beautiful, welcome, unintended consequence of being so generous is that it comes back to you. So that's beautiful, Jenny. As we close, I would be remiss if I didn't get from you, as, like I said, a powerhouse on Instagram, what are your top 5 tools that you use? And these can be digital tools or technical, physical things that are must-haves for your business.
For sure. So if you're looking to potentially kind of change the formatting of your page, or maybe come up with some type of methodology of how you want your pictures to look, I would suggest downloading an app that allows you to preview what your set of photos will look like. Like Preview app is a potential. That way you can plan out what you're going to post ahead of time, but also see what it's going to look like ahead of time. And it's like, is that what I want people to look at when they come visit my page? The other app that I would suggest is something like Canva, or Snapseed or Lightroom, that allows you to edit photos accordingly, or to add text depending on how you want to play with any type of captioning or whatever. And last but not least, in terms of pictures, and I learned this from other content creators as well, so everything I'm sharing I've learned from someone else, is lighting. So take pictures at during periods of the day where there is natural light. It really captures your merchandise or your product or whatever it is that you're trying to share in the best possible light. Those are a few tips.
And that I can see that definitely in even the pictures that you took for me. I remember you saying that good lighting is like early in the morning or at the, just before dusk. So you want the sun to be out, but you don't want it to be blazing.
Right. Absolutely. And, your products were so beautiful and they just needed to be captured, in just the right way. And so I had to do it justice. So and you don't need a fancy camera. You just need good lighting. Good.
That's so true. I think the thing that I'm taking away from this conversation is that there is a methodology to advancing yourself on social media, right? And like most things, if you don't have some of these key things in place, then it'll feel like things are missing. But you don't need the $2,000 camera. You don't need like every paid service that's available out there for content creation. You don't need 100 sponsorships a week. You don't need 5 million followers. That you can still be successful starting out by being true to yourself, being true to who you are, not trying to be anybody else, right? And your tribe will start to form.
Exactly. And then, and the last piece of advice I would say is to have your true few, is what I call them. Your true few are the people who are going to come to your page as soon as you post a photo, and they're going to like it, comment on it, and share it. I have my true few, and those are about 10 people that, and we do it for each other. Because that's how social media works. There is an algorithm, you know, it detects traffic, and it will determine who's going to see it next. So if your true few can engage in your content and believe in your content, that's also a really great tip that I would suggest. And I try to do it with just about every starting entrepreneur. As much as time permits me to do it, I try really hard to do that, because I believe in what they're doing, and so your true few has to be there with you, and do the same.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe that there are real words for that, because you did that for me and I felt it, right? I felt it every day when I posted something. Like, I'm feeling verklempt just thinking about it, because it really matters. It really makes a difference, and it feels silly to be getting, I don't know, feeling this way about that term and about sort of the love that goes into that. But I felt it. And I turned around and tried to be that person for you too, even though I felt like you didn't need me. You know what I mean? But we all need each other, especially at this time in our different journeys moving forward with our businesses. And that just really sort of washed over me.
So I'm so glad that my energy is getting to you all, you know, across the country.
All the way from California. I felt that. I like literally felt it wash over me. And I'm going to take that with me for the rest of the day, week, month. I don't know. It feels really good. So, I just wanted to close by saying, Jenny, thank you so much for being such an incredible woman, an incredible, mom and businesswoman and friend to so many, right? And we feel it. So I'm just really glad to know you.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. The privilege is all mine. The honor is all mine. You have created a space for all of us, and so I can't thank you enough.
All right. So before I get all beyond myself, tell people how they can find you and get their hand on some artwork.
Awesome. Anyone can visit me at jtblettering.com or visit me on Instagram. My handle is jtbiggers, Biggers, but JTB Lettering is a great place to start. And I'm looking forward to questions, inquiries, or whatever it is that is, you know, you're thinking about asking in terms of starting a lettering business or any business. I'm all ears.
I love it. So I can't wait to see what else it comes for JTB Lettering. And when something else new comes up, I hope that you'll come back on the show and share it with us.
I don't know what that'll be, but I'm excited for it now.
Me too. So until next time.